Welcome to another top 5 video. This one here is for all the real estate lovers out there. This video we're going to focus on flipping real estate, 5 tips for flipping real estate. This is not specific to buying real estate where you're going to actually have a tenant, you're going to rent it out. This is specific to flipping. Some of the same tips can apply in that situation, but obviously then you're dealing with tenants and some tips for how to deal with them. So this video will focus on flipping real estate, and then we'll do another video about actual having real estate that you're going to rent out. Disclaimer, as always, I'm not a licensed professional. For this video, I'm not a licensed professional in the real estate business. This video is for entertainment purposes only, blah, blah, blah. Hopefully, although it's entertainment purposes only, I can help you out with some good tips, and you can use those as you begin or continue your real estate endeavors or think about getting into real estate. Number 5, research. I can't stress this enough. Please spend time making sure you really understand the local market. Don't just look at a house and say, okay, this house is $75,000. I think that's relatively cheap because most houses that I see are $150,000. Be sure that you're looking at the right type of comparables. Be sure you're looking at the right in terms of the same market, the same area, the same school district. All of those things factor into price, obviously. So really make sure you do your research to make sure that the price you're looking at is a good price for what you're getting and where you're getting it. Be skeptical of cheap houses. Now, they could be great buys. There are definitely situations where you can get a house for below market value if you get a seller that's just looking to get rid of it. But they could also be money pits. If a house is cheap compared to the local area, there could be a good reason for that. Now, an inspection is vital, but it may not catch everything. Inspections, are meant to be done. Take a look at the key areas, the foundation, the structural, but they do miss stuff, and you really want to make sure that you're paying attention. You're doing your own kind of independent inspection, and really making sure that if a house is cheap, it really is a great buy, and there's not a reason. It's not going to cost you money down the line with some major repairs. Number 4, add a buffer to your budget. After you purchase a house and you get in, especially when you're doing a flip, when you're doing a flip, you probably got a good deal on a house because it looks like it got beat to hell. So when you're digging into these, it's highly likely that whatever budget you originally set will get blown up. So I recommend at least 10 to 15%, if not 20%, really just trying to factor in these unforeseen expenses. It's almost laughable when you watch these flip or flop type shows on HGTV where people have their budget and it's set in stone, and for some reason, probably just for TV purposes, but it doesn't seem like that they understand that expenses that you don't plan for will pop up, and sometimes there's mold where you don't expect there to be mold, and sometimes the foundation is cracked in a place that you didn't know was cracked, and you really only get to the bottom of those items when you start tearing back walls or ripping up kitchens or whatnot. So really add a buffer to your budget. It'll be a lot easier to incur those additional costs if you're adding that buffer than if you're on a strict budget. Focus on renovations with high return on investment, ROI. We probably all know at this point that kitchens, bathrooms, and cosmetics sell. When somebody walks into a house and they're looking to buy it to move into, they want a nice kitchen, they want nice bathrooms, and they want the place to just generally look nice. Again, don't price yourself out of the area though. So don't spend money on, say, hardwood floors, even though they look great, but it's in an area where you're going to actually, by putting in the hardwood floors, say, over laminate floors, it's going to cost you more money, and you might not be able to get that back. Put more into the areas where you can get the return, and really pay attention to the type of materials you're using there. The type of countertops. Do you want to go granite, or do you want to go with different material? Really make sure that you're not just going in there trying to make it the greatest house in the world, but then pricing yourself out of the area. And that goes back to the research side of it, of really having a plan of what you're going to buy it at, what you're going to put into it, add your buffer, and then also you want to be competitive. Unless you're planning on sitting on the house for a while, you want to make sure that you're not pricing it far and above anything else on the block. Again, the last point there, more renovations, more potential for unforeseen issues. So that's why, having a buffer in your budget, but then also just focusing on the key areas and just kind of fixing up the other areas more on the cosmetic side than doing like full renovations like you might do on a kitchen or a bathroom tends to be the best way to go. It limits the number of things that can go wrong. The more stuff you start tearing up, the more stuff that has potential to go wrong. Number 2, ugly houses are your friend. Like I was saying earlier, when somebody walks into a house, if it looks like hell, if it's got beat up carpets, it's got nasty wallpaper and all that crap, people's first reaction is, nah, I don't want to deal with this. But as a flipper, those houses are your best friend, because it's going to limit the number of people who come in there, because all the ones that are looking for the turnkey house are just going to walk away, and you're essentially down to the flippers. So you may be able to negotiate a better price. Again, you want to make sure that the structure is sound and all that stuff. But if it just cosmetically looks ugly, but it has a strong foundation to it, that could be a great bargaining tool to get the price down, and then jump in there, rip out some carpets, put in some laminate floors, paint, and you got yourself some nice return on investments from making those minor changes. And number 1, learn from the pros. There's so many ways. There's so many people that have done this before you. You're not the first. You won't be the last. There are those who have jumped in without doing their research and without learning the mistakes that have been made in the past, and then they just keep making the same mistakes. Like I said, point number 3 there. A wise man once said, "We all have to learn from mistakes, but they don't have to be ours." And I think that gets overlooked too much. That mistakes are the best way to learn, but they don't have to be your mistakes. Plenty of people have made mistakes in the past that you can learn from and not repeat. By not learning from the pros, by not doing the research, by not watching all the YouTube videos that are out there, a guy like Graham Stephan, who has great videos, by not watching those and really understanding the mistakes that people have made in the past so that you can avoid them, you're just setting yourself up to make the same mistakes. And when you're talking about real estate, especially flipping a house, the more mistakes you make, the more money it costs you, the less margins you have, and the less profit you're going to make. So let somebody else pay for those costs, and you just reap the benefit of learning from them. Again, as always, thank you for the view. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Stay tuned for more from Dividends for Hope. Do these videos, like I said before, we love to get views from here, but ultimately our mission is Dividends for Hope and helping others. But in a way, this is a way to help others, obviously on a more of a non-monetary basis and just from an advice standpoint. But it is a way for us at Dividends for Hope to help out in a different way. So again, thank you for following the journey, and stay tuned.